Welcome back! Today we have a special collaboration just in time for Valentine's Day. For my doll, I'll be making a sweet alien girl. After months in a long-distance relationship, she has traveled to Earth for a first date with her human boyfriend who she met online. But before we get started, let me introduce my collaborators. HarleysDollhouse, Claudoll, myself, Stephoodoll, Moonlight Jewel, I Could Do That DIY, and Jackyohhh. Everyone's channels are linked down below. Stick around until the end to see the group photo. For my base, I'll be using this ResinSoul Mei ball jointed doll. She's very tall and very blue, so I thought she would be perfect for an extraterrestrial. She's tightly strung and is super kicky. But before I forget, this collab is hosted by Stephoodoll, and we were all supposed to make a Valentine's doll using a BJD. Let's get her ready to customize. The magnet for her head cap came loose during shipping, so I'll fix that now. I tried using a magic eraser to take her company face up off, but it wasn't abrasive enough. A nail buffer block was, but I worried about sanding the resin too much. So I just went back to tried and true pure acetone. I was having lots of trouble handling her body because of how kicky she was, so I decided to get brave and restring her. I also hot glue sueded her joints, and she posed super nicely after. Just like a regular fashion doll, we need to prep the surface so we can start the painting. I start sketching her face with a blue watercolor pencil that's a few shades darker than her skin tone. I created a digital sketch for how I wanted her face to look and reference it as I work. I recently got monetized on YouTube near the end of 2022 and just got my first YouTube payout. I used it to get a small selection of pan pastels, and this is the first time I'm giving them a try. I'm used to regular, soft pastels and was actually kind of taken aback about how pigmented these were. They do lose their brightness a bit when you seal the layer like all pastels do. But I had to adjust my habit of really packing the color on and started using a lighter touch. Her eyeshadow has a bit of a rainbow shift with a lot of bright green. I had some difficulty getting the exact shades that I wanted for everything. But colors look different in real life than on a computer screen, and the lighting makes a difference too. So I focused more on making the face look good rather than just copying my digital drawing. Since it wasn't rough enough to take the layer of Mr Super Clear away, the magic sponge makes a great eraser. I'm laying down some lighter pigments to work brighter colors on top of. This doll has a super thin upper eyelid, and I wanted to give the illusion that her eyes were bigger. So I'm drawing in fake creases higher and am trying not to shade the original lid. Purple is always something I struggle with getting the right color. I might do an all purple doll or painting someday just to force myself to figure it all out better. I'm on another layer of sealant and I'm just pumping up the colors. Tried adding some raspberry red to saturate the purple in her lips more. I drew on some highlights and am blending some transitions with a pastel blue pencil. I used my Jane Davenport Chili Pastel palette to help with contouring her face. I use bright pink and purples for her blush. This is the third layer, and I'm building up more color. For the most part, the face won't deviate too much now. I'm packing in some purple pastel to highlight her cheekbones, nose, forehead, and more. Pushing the lips back towards purple again. I use a navy blue to draw on her bottom lashes, and to further deepen the upper eyelid crease. I was kinda nervous about this next step. Her eyeshadow blends from dark purple to black at the outside of her eyes. This is the same third layer, and I was worried I would mess it up and end up erasing work that I wanted to keep. Thankfully, it went perfectly. I'm really happy with how easy it was to control where the pigment went. I gave up drawing the right purple, so I'm going to try using gouache paint next. Try, anyway. I couldn't rehydrate my Hemi gouache paints no matter how much water I added. So all the brushwork here is acrylic paint instead. I'm really disappointed because I've only had this brand of gouache for 2 years, and they worked fine last month. I'm sad to say I can no longer recommend them. But I'm quite happy with how her painted on lashes look. Since I have the paint out, let's add a few brighter highlights. This wasn't part of the concept drawing, but I decided to add some cute little pink freckles. Somewhere along the way, I almost completely covered the red in her eyeshadow. Let's bring it back again. After a final spray of MSC, I gloss her lips and eye makeup with Sculpey Gloss Glaze. With the face painted, we can move on to making the wig. I like to use dried out wet wipes to make the wig cap out of. They stretch nicely and are already cut to the right size. I put an extra rubber band to keep the cap tight above her elf ears. I use Elmer's Glue All to stiffen the cap up. I just drizzle it all over the head and work the glue into the fiber with a brush. I give it about 3 layers of glue, letting it dry mostly in between. After the cap is completely dry, it stiffens up nicely and I trim the edges. For her hair, I'll be using this Kiwi nylon from Custom Doll Hair AU in the color Navy. It's such a deep, beautiful midnight blue. I thought it suited her sky blue skin perfectly. I make wefts in the usual way. Pipe out lines of glue on parchment paper, lay the fiber out, and then brush more glue over the top. I did want to try out this tip that I got from Moonlight Jewel. I fold the weft over some cardboard and iron it with a hair straightener to make it a neat part line. It gave a really nice edge. Honestly, nylon is a nightmare to make wefts with. I much prefer yarn for wigs, but this fiber was too beautiful not to use. I glue the folded weft over the existing hair. You want the part to be the thickest section of the wig. To make her eyes, I'm using 3D printed eye bases that HarleysDollhouse sent me. I think they're 16 millimeters. Her face up is complicated enough, and I want her eyes to be nice and simple without much detail. I fill the iris with UV resin and sprinkle in a mix of red and pink glitter. I mix the resin and glitter and pop the air bubbles with a pin. Then do a quick cure with my UV torch. I used a single chunky glitter heart for the pupil. I sand the white of the eye to clean up any of the glitter and resin that might have spilled over from the iris. I add another layer of clear resin to gloss the eye, and the same pin to spread it around. The eyes get a final cure with my light and then are taken outside to finish curing in the sun. To finish her face up, I want to give her 3D lashes. I decided to try applying the lashes one at a time. It was very tedious, but I had better control and I really liked the result. I want to make her a simple 1950s inspired dress, so I'll be using Requiem Art's 50s swing pattern. I'll use this stretchy black lace and this bright pink cotton for the clothes. I just need some simple stockings that will show underneath the edge of her dress, so I won't be needing a pattern for this. Instead, I'll clip the material around her leg and sew it on directly. The stretch will allow it to come off after I'm finished. I do wish I could machine sew this because it is so awkward, but my machine would just eat it. Of course, hand sewing, my cat wants to eat it anyway. This is Felt, by the way. She's very soft and sweet, if not a little ornery. After I've sewn all the way up the leg, I trim the excess fabric from the stocking. I like to use a crochet hook for turning small channels right side out. I sewed the dress off camera on my machine, following the pattern. To make the skirt lay properly, I wetted and pinned it in places that the skirt naturally wanted to fold. I let it dry with the folds in place and also sewed a sparkly tulle petticoat to make it nice and poofy. I want some white in the outfit to break up all of the pink. So I'm making her a belt with this studded suede ribbon. I'll use Velcro for the closure and glue it in place with Fabri-tac glue. I use more clips to keep it secure while it dries. I have some 1/4 scale shoes I bought a while ago that will be perfect with a few studs. Now they match the belt. Since she's an alien, I want to make some cute antenna for her. I had one day to finish her, had no time for air-dried clay to cure, so it was time to use some polymer clay. I've had this purple clay for 3 years and it's still super soft, while some of my new Sculpey is much harder. These are hearts at the end. It's very wholesome, okay? I looked it up, and you should not cook magnets. Bad idea. Don't do it. I have much thinner magnets that will go on the inside of the wig. They are tiny but still quite strong. I use wall mounting putty to hold the thin magnets in place. This way they can be repositioned. It works well enough, but they keep wanting to twist around. The blue is the wrong color, and since I need to blush them to color match, I may as well blush the body at the same time. I'm using all of the same reds, blues, and pinks that I used earlier for her face. Since red is complementary to blue, it actually neutralizes it or grays it out a bit. So going over the red with pink and purple brightens it back up. As a final touch, she got a pink manicure. And her antenna get a nice glossy finish. Now we get to dress her up. I gave her chest some details while I was blushing the body, so to keep this appropriate for YouTube, her top stays covered. I also gave her a lovely pearl necklace to go with the 50s theme. Time to reunite the head with the body. To stop the antenna from swiveling, I'm adding just a bit of blue tack around the magnet for tension. Now they hold their pose nicely. Check out everyone's beautiful Valentine dolls. Their videos are all linked below, so go watch now, or stick around for a few more seconds for the photos of Mei. Thanks for hanging around. I know she appreciates your company because it looks like her date stood her up. She waited for him a while, but decided her own company was best anyway. Or maybe yours is. She has some extra time, so where on earth would you take her on a date? Thanks for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed watching this blue babe come to life. I'll see you next time.